A question has been posed repeatedly to the harsher and more vociferous critics of Islam and Muslims in general. What would people have said had the lunatic who went on his murderous rampage in Norway been a Muslim, or perhaps a Muslim acting in accordance with his convictions and his interpretation of his faith? What would people have said then? Perhaps more chillingly, what would they have done? Now again, this is the sort of question one doesn't care to ask, simply because it leads down a road that people simply hadn't expected to appear in front of them. This sort of thing is going to happen again, perhaps not as tragically and as madly as took place in Norway, but I rather suspect that we're going to see more anti-multicultural terrorism. We're probably going to start seeing, especially if we see a repeat of 9/11 or the equivalent, more anti-Muslim terrorists. It won't be long before Muslims start to actually fear for their safety in the West. Now that might sound far-fetched, but anyone who thinks that doesn't really understand Western history, especially in the 20th century, and they don't understand that Western society is perfectly capable of terrorism of the most gruesome kind. In fact, one could actually say that the whole concept was invented in the West. What if terrorism of the sort that targets the modern multicultural society, or Muslims in particular, becomes a phenomenon? What then will people like Pat Condell and Geert Wilders have to say? Every terrorist in some way sees himself as a David fighting a Goliath, and every terrorist needs an ideology. What will have been the role of people like Pat and Geert in creating that ideology? That's not a world I want to live in, and that's not the West, the way I know it. Thank you.